have you shared a meme recently? Or, hey, have you ever been on the receiving end of a joke at work that didn't quite land? Well, it turns out that humor has this surprising, two-sided power. Today, we're going to explore how the very same force that makes us laugh online can create some pretty serious problems in the office.
Okay, let's just dive right in. We're starting with something that sounds simple, the power of a joke. But, as you're about to see, its effects are anything but.
So, first up, let's talk about the bright side. On social media, humor is way more than just a quick laugh. It's a super powerful way to connect with people, and it might just be the ultimate hack for grabbing our attention.
And it is a huge deal in our culture. I mean, get this. A full 75% of people between the ages of 13 and 36 are out there sharing memes. It's basically become a new language we all speak online.
So if this is how we're all talking to each other, it's a total no-brainer that brands want in on the action, right? The real question is, how do they actually use this language to connect with us effectively?
So, what's the secret sauce? Why do brand memes work so well? Well, on the surface, it's pretty straightforward. We tend to see posts with memes as funnier, and that humor makes us want to engage, to hit that like or share button. But it goes deeper. Memes are like a massive inside joke. When a brand uses one the right way, it's a signal that they get it, that they're part of our world. That little like or share then becomes a genuine connection, and it can actually turn us into loyal fans.
Okay, but that's just one side of the coin. The exact same tool that brings us all together online can be used to drive us apart in the real world. Humor, you see, has a dark side.
So let's see how this plays out in the workplace, where a so-called harmless joke from a boss can have some really serious and, frankly, counterproductive consequences.
Researchers actually have a name for this, leader-aggressive humor. And this isn't just a bad joke that falls flat. We're talking about using sarcasm or teasing to put people down. It's basically aggression wearing a clown nose. And for employees on the receiving end, it leaves them feeling confused, stressed, and totally demeaned.
So what do you do when you're in that position? You can't just fire back at your boss, right? So how do people push back? The answer might actually surprise you.
Instead of some big confrontation, employees often turn to something much quieter, called time theft. It's a really subtle form of rebellion. They're not storming out of the office. They're taking longer breaks, scrolling on their phone at their desk, or just mentally checking out while on the clock. It's a quiet protest.
But why? How does a bad joke from a manager actually lead to an extra long coffee break? Well, it all comes down to a really fascinating psychological concept about how our self-control works. It's a theory called ego depletion. And the easiest way to think about it is this. Your willpower is like a mental battery. Every single time you have to bite your tongue after a sarcastic comment from your boss, you use up a little bit of that battery's power. And eventually, it runs low.
So here's the chain reaction step by step. First, the boss tells an aggressive joke. Second, the employee has to burn through their self-control resources just to not react. Third, that drains their mental battery. And when that battery is blinking red, they just don't have the energy to stay focused on work. And that is exactly when time theft starts to look pretty appealing.
I know, this all sounds pretty depressing, doesn't it? But here's the good news. The research also points to a way you can actually defend yourself. Look, you can't change your boss's terrible sense of humor, but you can build up your own psychological armor. And that armor is called self-compassion. At its core, it's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give to a friend who's going through something tough. It acts like a personal shield, protecting you from the full emotional impact of a negative environment.
It's really made up of three key parts. First is self-kindness. That just means not being so hard on yourself. Second is common humanity. That's recognizing that you're not alone, that what you're going through is part of the human experience. And third is mindfulness, the ability to notice your negative feelings without getting completely swept away by them.
And the results from the study on this are just striking. It found that employees with a low self-compassion were totally drained by their boss's bad jokes. But for those with high self-compassion, it barely had an effect on them. Their mindset literally protected their mental battery. Now, isn't that a fascinating insight? The idea that something like self-compassion can be a practical, real-world defense tool at work. It's such a powerful finding, which kind of makes you wonder, why isn't this being taught in every management seminar? And that question leads us to a much bigger and honestly a more frustrating problem.
This whole issue actually has a name. It's called research debris. It's this perfect metaphor for all the incredible academic research, like the studies we've just talked about, that just ends up sitting on a shelf, collecting dust. It gets published in a journal, sure, but it never actually makes its way into the real world to change anything.
And a huge reason for this is that academics and the people actually out there in the business world are basically living in two different thought worlds. For academics, the game is all about rigor. It's slow, it's careful. But for practitioners, the managers and leaders, their game is all about relevance. They need practical solutions and they need them now. Their goals and their timelines just don't line up. This quote just sums it up perfectly. It's like the two sides are speaking completely different languages. Academics are seen as just talking to each other, and practitioners just dismiss all the research as being out of touch. And because of that, so many valuable insights get completely lost in translation.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. We've seen how powerful a joke can be for building a connection and for causing total burnout. We have the research, we have the knowledge. But what good is that knowledge if it never leaves the pages of a journal? If a brilliant idea is published but no one ever uses it, does it really make an impact? That's something to think about.